Welcome to self-discoverywisdom.com, formerly known as Self-Discovery Media. On these podcasts, you're going to hear people who speak from the heart. They've taken the journey in life. Many things have happened to them, but they've changed it to happening for them. And in their strength, their courage, they've discovered their abilities and their wisdom, and they are now sharing it here with you. Do enjoy each show. We bring it to you with love and knowing that it's going to help you on your journey of life. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of Choose Positive Living right here on selfdiscoverywisdom.com. I am your host, Sarah Troy. My wonderful guest today is Sunshower Rose with Transformative Art. Power of art. This is what we're talking about today, art and what it can mean to you. She says art is more than a visual expression. It's a language of the soul, a bridge between the seen and the unseen, whether through watercolor, digital mediums, performance. Art captures the essence of human experience, reflecting our emotions, stories, and intuitive wisdom. It is a tool for self-discovery, a means of connection, and a legacy that transcends time. The work of Sunflower Rose, who has immortalized faces, moments, and messages through her artistry, creative, the gift that speaks beyond words. It is a reminder that ours is not just what we create, but how we bring the essence into the world. So she has beautiful pieces of art here on her show page, which all you have to go to is selfdiscoverywisdom.com and put in Sunshower Rose, and her whole show page comes up. And we're also looking at her book that will be coming out. Is that Deva Over Cathedral?
Oh, no, the name of the book is Sunshower's Art Speaks.
Okay, so I've got a different picture up here then. But we're also going to be talking about something else that she does, which is livewave.com, which is something that literally has saved her physically and mentally. And how do the two combine? But let's start off with the art, because art is something that really speaks volumes and is very, very underestimated, because people, I think, take art for granted and they don't realize what impact it actually does have on them. So welcome to the show, Sunshower.
Oh, thank you so much, Sarah. And thank you so much for having me on Self-Discovery Wisdom. I mean, I've thought about that title quite a bit, and it makes a lot of sense. You know, as we self-discover and we bring our wisdom forth, as you allow us to through your programs, it's just an amazing process.
It is. But that's what it's about, isn't it? We're all in discovery of who we are, what we're here to do. What is our canvas? What are our colors to paint? And in that discovery, we're going to have different periods of life. Of our canvas is going to be different for, through youth, through teenage years, through young adult, to middle age, to older age. They're going to be different canvases. And because that's kind of the wisdom that we gather along the way and the wisdom that we tap into. So art is truly a wonderful expression of our journey, isn't it?
Absolutely. Thank you. Yes.
So how did art come about for you?
Well, I do believe that all of us, as very young kids, do art, whether we're finger painting or crayons. And what is interesting to me is over time, the desire and the curiosity seems to be squelched. And
Mm.
in my teaching now of art, I find that people are fairly intimidated by art itself, much less the mediums that I use, like watercolor.
Hmm.
So it's always my pleasure to have people discover that they too can be artists, and that maybe it brings back memories of when they were children and they used to play and be curious.
Mm. And also, art is going to be a different image to different people. You could have 10 people looking at one piece of art, and each one of them will see something differently in there. And I think we've got so caught up with the way art should be. You should do this. It's only going to be valuable if you do that. And it's like, first and foremost, it's an expression of your inner soul. So how it comes out is how it's meant to come out, and it will
Mhm.
perfect how it comes out through your journey and expertise of life.
Well said.
I think if we can get over that kind of like, it's got to, it should, and just allow. I mean, I think I often refer to the canvas of life and just paintbrush in hand, colors that thing, and just allow your soul to paint. And in many ways, that is truly the process of an artist. You may have technique, all of that, but really it is the inner soul speaking, isn't it?
Mm. And, speaking of technique, I think it's all just about practice.
Mm,
So many times people say to me, "Oh, I could never draw. I couldn't this or that." And it's just not true at all. As you just said, just let it flow.
mm,
Let your emotions guide you. Thoughts, I have kinds of images in mind, and I might, in the old days, go to the library and thumb through lots of books when I had a subject in mind and find some pictures that appealed to me. I'd start to incorporate those kinds of images into my art.
hmm there generally is what we call the periods that various people go through, right? And you go through a period of wanting this, and then suddenly there's another image coming forth that you go through that period. But are those kind of periods that you go through until you perfect that perfect picture where you feel the story has been told?
Yeah, it's definitely a process and is still happening in my world, I can tell you, because
Hmm.
AI is now entering the
Yes.
picture. So I would say that I started out probably with faces. I remember, this is so funny. As a 14-year-old, I was angry with my mother, as most teenagers are with their parents. And so I went to do my homework, and there was a mirror nearby. And I did my homework, but I also looked in the mirror, and my expression was like this. And I drew myself and I looked like myself when I looked at my own drawing. I go, oh, there's maybe something here. So that kind of began the journey of my drawing faces. And then at this time, I would say over my lifetime, having done many caricatures, portraits online, at events, and so forth, that I've probably drawn, painted, and digitally produced over 250,000 faces.
Wow. Wow.
Hmm.
That's quite significant.
Mm.
Um, and I would imagine that although there may be some common denominators with those faces, there is always something unique about each face.
Ah, that's a very interesting comment. It's true. I kind of get to know the person as I'm drawing them. One time I was hired to draw, commissioned to draw a man's face, and I was given his photo and so forth. And as I drew him, I realized this man is not on the planet anymore. And
Ah.
so when I passed the portrait to the lady, I said, "When did your gentleman friend pass?" And she was shocked because she had not told me that.
Hmm. Well, it's kind of the essence, isn't it? Everybody is looking for the definition, but really it's the essence, essence of the person that comes through. When you're capturing it,
Mm,
yes, you can capture the nose is here, the eye is there, the character's there, but it's the essence of the person. We want to connect with the essence of the person and the way they look, not like it's a perfect picture, but where's the connection, right?
hmm.
You want that
Hmm.
connection where you look at where you say, I'm feeling that person.
Very true, very true. It comes through whether you want it to or not. Here it comes, and people ask me about my art. Well, you're diverse, Sunshower. I'm
Mm,
looking around my room at my own art, and people keep saying you're just so diverse. And don't you have a certain style? And in fact, that's the reason I'm not in galleries because I don't have a certain style. The
mm.
galleries would say, "Well, where's your look?" And
Yeah.
I go, "What do you mean, my look?"
Yeah. And unfortunately, you niche. Everybody is going on about niches. And it's like,
Mm.
that's just one expression. If you had just a niche in a book, then
Mhm.
each chapter would be rather boring. It's you
Mm.
can have a common denominator, a character,
Mhm.
but where you take that character is what the
Mhm.
journey is all about. So
Mm.
imagine with the art, it's the same thing. And, we have a picture over here of your left hand shoulder, of a woman coming out of a door and beautiful flowers. Well, the story can be, has she left? Did she leave because she didn't want to be there anymore? Is it a beautiful home that she's going to go back to? You want the art to make an inquiry, to ask
Mm.
the questions.
Mm. Yeah, art is considered to be very subjective, and that
Mhm.
that would be true. In fact, I've had people see things in my art that I didn't intend.
Mm.
And that's always fun. Oh, really? You do? Oh, okay. And then it takes me out of myself, which is
Yeah.
another cool thing. Rather than me, 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 it's like, oh, folks are actually looking at this and their minds and where they come from, have them come up with a whole different perspective than what I had intended.
But again, that's the storytelling.
Mm.
Again, I always say to people, have a podcast party, everybody listen, take notes, and then share the notes afterwards,
Oh, I like it.
because each person will have a different perspective on what they got on it. And then when
Right.
you share that, then you've got a rounder picture, right? Instead of just coming from you. And I think that's again with art. When
Mm.
you go to an art gallery, you're going to absorb the art and what it
Mm.
says to you, but then discuss it.
Right.
Let it
And
be that
that's
discussion platform.
And that's what your program is all
Mm,
about, is
mhm.
people discovering each other and the transparency of each person that comes and speaks with you on your podcast. It opens doors for other people's minds to be able to enter perhaps your type of thinking and then go, oh, maybe there is another way to look at this.
I think that's, we've got very linear
Mm.
in our way of living. It's one straight way, and A, very boring. B, no, we're not designed like that. We're constantly in flow, like, like a stroke of the brush, which generally has curves in it or twists and turns. And that's what life is about, twists and turns.
Twists and
And,
turns.
and if we kind of willingly go down that path and know that it's about being in flow, because I
Hmm.
imagine you've got authors that get writer's block. Do you get arse's block?
Do I?
Yeah.
No.
No.
No, it's sort of like I just pick it up and do it when I feel like it. If I'm
Uh-huh.
inspired by something, it's never gone. And if a person does get a block of some sort, I just would admonish you. It's just like get up on the bike and ride it again.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
there. It's always been there. It's in all of us. It
Hmm.
can't not be there, you know?
Yeah. I have a 3-year-old grandson. We're turning 4 in a couple of weeks, actually, and he's still, not coloring in the lines. And like yesterday, I gave him the crayons, and he had the felt pens, and he had the pencils, and it's doing a picture for mummy. And mummy, I did you a rainbow, and it was circles and circles and circles of all the colors, and it's like, as long as I'm seeing color, I'm happy. Right.
Well, and that's another little bit of a topic because I remember when I first started, remember there was no computers around at the
Right.
time.
No, not in our generation. It was a
Not
city
at
block.
all. And so a pencil, that might
Yes.
be a pencil and an eraser. And so I remember for the longest time my work stayed in pencil.
Hmm.
And then I felt a little more confident and I would say, okay, let me try ink. Still
Hmm.
black and white. So, the color thing, it took a while for that to actually eventuate.
Right. Yes, when
Hmm.
I did art at school, there was this like almost like a charcoal pencil, right? So it was thicker than the lead, and I
Hmm.
would just do certain lines and then contour them, thicken them, thin them, and have them always in flow, and they would create their own picture, and for me that was, I loved kind of the definition of it.
Yes.
Because it was not black and white. It had movement to
Mm.
it, although it was black. But
Mm.
I think a pencil is a good way to start, because I think it also helps you define lines.
Well, it helps you define lines and it gets you in this habit of, oh, I can erase this
Yeah.
if I make a mistake, which of course I've come to discover there's no such thing in art as a mistake. You can
Mm-hmm.
think that there's a mistake, but there really isn't. And so that's why when I took up the pen,
Mm.
I know that my confidence must have built because I was
Yeah.
I was more definite in what I was putting down on a piece of paper. I can tell you a funny story. When I first started doing caricatures publicly, if a person behind me was watching and said, "Oh, that doesn't look like Harry at all," I was so nervous about it because now I was drawing in pen and I
Mm.
would then color with watercolor. So I would rip the thing up and start all over
Oh
again.
no.
Yeah, And I go, well, that's silly. You have to get over that. So what I did was if somebody had a negative comment, I would just keep going. And then I would add my watercolor. And once the color was there,
Yeah.
people go, oh, that looks just like Harry.
Yeah. Yeah. I always marvel when you watch these talent shows and people come out and they're drawing in sand or they're drawing pictures upside down. All it looks like is they're splashing paint on a canvas
Mm,
and they're
mm,
doing this and they're doing that. And then they turn it upside down and it's an incredible portrait of somebody. You know,
right.
and that, oh gosh, the ability to be able to see things, upside down, inside out, and then produce it in such a way that is extraordinary. But I think that's the artist eye.
It is the artist's eye, and that can be developed. So
Mm,
just going back to the upside down part, this is interesting. I was taught this probably when I was 15 or 16. When you're in the middle of doing your art piece, maybe you're painting along and you're wondering, gosh, is this going well or what does it need? So I always advise, because I was taught this, just back up from the piece, perhaps put it on a chair and lean it up against the back of the chair and turn it upside down. And
mm.
suddenly the piece tells you exactly what it wants.
Yes. Again,
Mm.
when I've interviewed authors, I say, what about the characters? And they say, well, I have, general character and what I want them to do, but they take a life of their own,
They do.
right? And so art is the same, right? It takes on a life
Absolutely.
of its own. It's that inner expression that wants to come out, and it's just allow.
Absolutely. And speaking of allowing, I think I do have this clairaudient thing going, right? So
Hmm. Yeah.
so as I talked to you earlier, I just need to sit in front of my art pieces once they're done. I don't even think about what the name of them might be, but I ask, what's your name? And I'm told. And then if I choose, I can sit in front of the piece of art and go, so tell me about your essence. And
Mm,
these pros just start coming. There's not anything I can stop or do about it. It's just coming and coming and coming until it's all done. And I know that too. I
mm,
always know when the piece is done and I know when the writing is done. It's just
mm.
amazing
Well,
if
you're
you
in
allow.
tuned.
Yeah,
Yes,
well,
allow.
I guess I am.
Yes, and that's the thing is like, as I say, everybody we're in discovery of our instrument. How do we play our instrument? We could be a soloist. However, when we join an orchestra and
Mm,
we decide to play in harmony in respect of each other's talent, then we,
mm,
transform. But that's the same. You are in concert with your canvas and with your art, right? And this is a dual piece that you're putting on together. And so
mm.
you're in sync with it. And again, because you allow. You don't
Yes.
dictate.
Yes, exactly. And, I like to sing and I'm fairly musical
Hmm.
too. And so I've often thought, and when I would listen to a symphony and you can hear every
Hmm.
single
Mm.
instrument, I thought, well, could I play that instrument? Could I play that instrument? Could I play this one over here? And the answer is yes. I think we could do it all. It's just a matter of focus.
Yes.
So that's the other part. People are like, well, you do so many different things. Why don't you just focus on one kind of art? And I'm like,
Mhm.
I just do what I'm told. I listen
Exactly.
and it comes and I go, okay, let's do that. And that keeps me playful and
Hmm.
childlike. Keep that curiosity rolling.
100%. You're a conduit for the
Mm,
story that needs to be told. Whether
mm,
you're doing, a portrait of someone or caricature, or whether you're drawing just a piece that wants to be told, it's channeling through you. All right. So it isn't just a painting, not just a picture. It's a
right.
story that you
It
allow to
is.
come through you.
And there's an expression that's coming to my mind right now. It's called divine nonchalance.
Mm, mm,
So again, not being married to what does this have to look like?
yeah.
What's the result going to be? You never really know. I'll be in the middle of a piece and I'll hear add this, and it's just a whole different element, which, by the way, has made my art have a lot of different elements to it. And I would believe that that came from this expression that I was told in 1987 when I moved to Sedona. I heard a woman say in a lecture, she used this word multidimensional. Well, I'd never
Hmm.
heard such a thing. I'm like, what's that mean? So I asked her later, and she goes, oh, that's quite common. You could use it about yourself. I said, I could. Well, sure, she says, call yourself multidimensional. So I did that. And in 1988, all these doors opened to me, various doors that I would never have thought that I would have gone through. I wouldn't have even thought about the door, much less go through it.
I mean, you probably even wouldn't have seen it because again,
Exactly.
awareness, again, it back to that
Yes,
awareness. And when somebody made you aware, you began to see,
that's
right?
it.
And, then it's the courage to turn the knob and open up
Yes.
that door. But we are all multidimensional people that we're meant to work on a higher plane.
Hmm.
We've got stuck in a third dimension. And
Mm.
we are desperately needing to get out of that in order to survive, not only on this planet, but in this universe, because we're meant to be up on a higher plane. So the more and more people that open those doors and tap into those dimensions, the better off we're going to be
Mm.
as a human race.
Hmm.
So it's don't be afraid of them. They're not woo woo, this
No.
word woke that everybody's petrified of. It's just enlightenment and
Mm.
awareness and being in tuned, which is what you're
Mm.
meant to be, right?
Hmm. And something you said made me think this. So when I'm teaching, I teach plein air watercolor on the Red Rocks in Sedona. And what we're painting is far away from us, and it's hard to like point to a one thing and have a person understand what I'm pointing to.
Hmm.
So when we're getting ready to do the foliage, there's definitely some bushes right in front of them. And I say, now look carefully. You can see that there's spaces between the leaves, right? Oh, yeah. So when we paint the leaves or from at a distance, they become little dots type
Yeah.
things instead of, this is a leaf and this is a leaf and this is
Yes.
a leaf. But the point there is that what has come to me about that kind of view is the negative space of things. Well,
Mm.
and people go, negative, like bad? No, no, no. Like what you're seeing here, right here is
Hmm.
the image of a face, but around the face is this openness, and
Hmm.
that's called negative space. And that's what my art has a lot of is
Mm.
nothingness.
Well, it's airy,
Hmm.
right? It allows it to breathe. I mean, not
Hmm.
every single bit of the canvas needs to be, painted. And it's like,
Right.
how does something stand out if there's
Hmm.
so much on it, right?
Right.
So it allows that door to feel like you just reach out and open it or pick
Hmm.
those flowers or,
Hmm.
have a conversation with that person because they're projected forward.
I love that, the conversation with people. What I've become kind of a master of is asking questions. You're such a good question asker yourself. And I do host some calls here and there, and I've learned that listening carefully is what's going to bring out the essence of the person.
Hmm.
And so um, oftentimes a person will tell me something and they'll go on and I'll remember something they said earlier. And
Mm.
I'll go back to that and say, you mentioned this. Could you tell me more about that? And people are so like shocked that a person would remember, much less bring it forth. And
Hmm.
then they get to express a little further. And I believe that helps open this curiosity thing that we all have within
Yeah.
us. Yeah.
And I wish we had more of, I see that
Hmm.
we've stepped into being very fearful as a human race, and we have a
Hmm.
common sense fear. Don't put your
Hmm.
hand in the fire, don't walk in front of a bus. There's a common sense fear. Don't
Yeah.
walk down a dark alley at 3 o'clock in the morning, right? Um, but people are fearful of the unknown, fearful of
Hmm.
what tomorrow will going to be. And I say, take the fear out of it and put in wonderment,
Hmm.
the wonderment of what tomorrow will bring, the excitement of what is unknown. Common
Hmm.
sense fear travels with you and will keep
Hmm.
you safe. It will make those hairs stand up on the back of your neck when you need
Hmm.
to. But I feel we've lost that sense of wonderment and we're desperately needing it back because we're so caught up now in the fear base.
Well, it's us artists that sort of bring out that child in others, hopefully, not only by what they see, but maybe like in my case, with my book coming up,
Mm-hmm.
Sunshower's Art Speaks, actually, I would love for my book to be an audio book, right?
Mm-hmm.
So because again, with texting, we lose the inflection
Yes.
and we lose the eye contact that we always have with great conversations. And so I'm so happy that, yes, I'm going to have a book called Sunshower's Art Speaks, but is it actually speaking? Can you actually hear it?
Right.
So that might be the next step.
And yes, because so many people nowadays, they're busy, they're driving, they're this, then that, and that's where they like to listen to the audiobooks, um,
Yes.
because it allows them to listen while they're doing the mundane things,
Yeah.
right? So, because not everybody has the time anymore to sit and read a book, which make time, folks. This is your time
Yes.
out, right? Pick
Yes.
up a good book. It's important to do that. I think, we talked about space, space on the canvas. We need to give ourselves space for the story to come forth. And,
Mm.
a lot of the time it's like, I've got an assignment, or I've got to do this, or I've got to do that. And it's like, when you've got to, you won't, because everything is blocked.
Yeah.
Right. But when you allow that space, back to allow,
Mm.
but allow that space to breathe and you breathe,
Mm.
then the vision comes forth, doesn't it?
It does. And, you're reminding me of something that started happening in the early 80s for me. And that was, I had heard this term, automatic writing. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
What's
Mm-hmm.
that? But it sure sounds interesting. So I would sit and wait, for my high self to give me, and it wasn't yet developed. So
Mm-hmm.
I might get an A. It took an hour to get an A. But I went to a class on the subject, and we were asked to write from three different places on the planet. One was Iona, Scotland. I'll never forget that. And it was like the waters of Iona, Scotland spoke. And I wrote what I heard in my head.
Mm,
And that started this whole thing of the writings. The writings have been present with me for a long time, from
mm.
what I would call my higher self
Yeah.
or from the light itself. And,
Yes.
and that's what one of my writings told me back in 87 when I first came to Sedona, Arizona, was that it was predictive, and it said, you will be assisting people with their light bodies.
Mm.
And by the way, my name came to me clairaudiently. Would you like to hear about that?
Yes. Yes. Most certainly. And then
So
we were
I,
going to go into the light bodies because that leads us into something else.
okay. So, I'm Canadian born, but my folks went to Southern California when I was 12. So I was there a bunch of years and then decided to leave and come to Sedona, Arizona, where I would meet my spiritual family. And it surely happened. But,
Mm.
I was still carrying my first and last name, the married name, and so forth that I hadn't used for at least 20 years. And so I was traveling along, and it started to lightly rain, and there were not one cloud, there was not a cloud in the sky. And I thought, well, this is an interesting paradox. How can it be raining and there's no clouds? And I did hear this whisper in my right ear, and it was soft, but it was definite. It was like, sun shower,
Mm.
sun shower. Two times. I'm like, oh, so this is kind of new to me. What? I'm now hearing voices or what? And so a couple of months later, when I was drawing caricatures in the touristy part of Sedona, and I was signing my old married name, first and last, I thought, well, why am I giving power to that guy's name? He wasn't even
Mhm.
a nice person after all. And I heard it again, twice. Sunshower, Sunshower. So that became my legal name. And it
Excellent.
actually means shower of the sun, demonstrator of light and truth.
Beautiful. And that's paying attention again, allowing,
Mm,
not
mm,
dictating, not
mm,
dissecting,
mm-hmm.
accepting. And that's another thing.
Yes.
People are given things all the time. And then
Mm-hmm.
they go, yes, but why? Why? I want to understand this and that. And it's just, again, allow,
Yeah.
let the reveal happen, right?
Yes.
You don't need to know everything up front. That's part of the journey of why you were given that name and
Mm,
how diverse that name is and so many things that you do and are,
mm,
right? But if we insist on wanting to know it all up front, we're
mm,
missing the point.
mm-hmm. Don't miss the point, folks.
No, no.
Listen carefully,
Hmm.
and don't judge and don't ask, well, why?
Yeah.
You know, you, my spiritual mom back in California, I would ask her this and that when she would tell me things about my life and my coming future and all this. And I go, but why? And she goes, stop that.
Yes, exactly.
Don't ask the universe why. It just is and let it unfold.
Mhm. I'm a knowingness coach. So the knowingness for me is when the soul speaks to us in wisdom and it gives it to the heart in truth. And
Mm,
that gives it to the spirit in action for the mind
mm,
to know the clarity it needs when it needs it
mm.
without justification, verification, or anything else because it just is.
Beautiful. Well put.
And that is, I think, when we trust that, which I'm sure you do when you do your art, you're in that what some people would call the zone, but you're in your own essence to pick up the other essence of what you're doing, right? It's that allowing again. And I think that it's taken you somewhere else, which funny enough, has that kind of wave of life in it as well, is a product called Life Wave,
Mhm.
um, which is all about, light activated stem cell therapy. So do tell us something about that because I know this is a big part of your life.
It became a big part of my life in 2020 when so many things were going south. This
Hmm.
this just suddenly was big in my life, and I was introduced to LifeWave through my homeopath, who I had entrusted my health to since 1987. We're great friends. This is a homeopath extraordinaire. And so I have lots and lots of homeopathic remedies that I use a lot. And then she introduced me to these funny little round patches. And I'm like, what's this? And she goes, I know, I kind of balked at this at the first when I heard about it too. It's like, wait, what are you talking about? Is it going to put stem cells into us? No, no, no. She says it's not about that at all. Nothing goes into us except a refraction of light. So here we
Mm.
have our own body light that comes off of us called infrared. And these little patches, because of the lattice work, the nanocrystals and so forth, interact. And voila, our cells, our stem cells particularly, decide to go, oh, well, this is fun. Let's become active again. So
Mm.
at my age, which is almost 76, I feel like I'm about 40.
And you look it too.
Oh, thank you.
So
Thank you.
definitely.
Thanks.
I think that is a lot to do with the fact that that's taking care of your body and your stem cells. But I think
Mm.
it's a lot to do with the way you look at life,
Yes,
right?
I have
It's
to agree.
mm,
Yes.
it's your youthful way of looking at life and not letting life pull you down, but you deciding to have your own wings and pull yourself up.
You got it.
Combination. But I've done shows on LifeWave before, and I know that it's had an enormous impact on people's lives. And it's again one of those things we have to understand. It takes a very long time for our bodies to get to disarray or break down. We
Mm,
can't expect something to work overnight, and we
mhm,
have to give it time. Our cells regenerate every 3 months, so give something 3 months, so it can match the natural process.
mm,
And I'll allow and then see what the difference is. It's don't demand, um, don't push anything. Again, back to the word allow, which is the big word of the show today. Everything is
mhm.
allow, because it's busy working. Go on about your business. Go on and do what you're doing, and let it do
Yes.
its business.
Yes. We have an expression in LifeWave. You can't pick the fix.
Mm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
if you were picking the fix, you'd be in charge, wouldn't you?
Yes.
And you'd be saying, okay, do this,
Mm.
fix that. Well, first of all, it's not about fix at all. It's just that when the cells are happy, the stem cells are all happy, they just start their own little dance
Yeah.
and it becomes part of the dance of your life.
Yeah.
It's not that we need to actually think about it. Just let the stuff go to work.
Yes.
They'll be fine without us dictating which way it should go.
Right. Or doubting. Oh,
Yes.
it's not working yet. And, I
Yeah.
have had the patches, and just for me, it was a little too expensive to carry on with, but I've had the patches and I know that I should go back on them again at some point. Um, but I think it's like if we're not willing to try, we're not willing to have the results. And, there are some people out there that they get a kick out of whatever their challenge is. It
Hmm.
becomes their identity. But, for
Mm.
people who've got a life that is full and busy and you want to do things, we do at a certain age need support. And,
Hmm.
our cell structure, everything is on the decline. So you need something that's going to give it that extra boost so it
Mm-hmm.
can match the enthusiasm you still have for life.
There you go. Which leads me to just mention David Schmidt, the founder and scientist behind LifeWave, has done, he's just this major researcher, and we all believe that he's divinely guided.
Mhm.
And so he has done research about lobsters and lobster blood. Turns out lobsters are basically immortal. I won't get into all that, but he's done those kind of studies on the lobster blood and all that. And he's also very Bible oriented. And he saw a pattern between the codes of the blood of the lobsters and the codes that were in a certain part of the Bible. And he started putting it all together. And lo and behold, now LifeWave, because of the research and because of his own curiosity, what else might enhance these funny little patches that people are
Mhm.
wearing around the world, yet nobody's heard of? Now this year will come our water, light infused water, which is going to
Ah,
enhance the patches almost superlatively, if I could use that word.
so
Um,
watering the seed, so to speak.
there you go. There you
Mhm.
go.
Right. And of course, we've got to remember we're 70% water. And very often the waters in our body can be in disarray. And when
Mm,
we fortify the waters in our body, they go to kind of lubricate everything else in the body to make it function. And
mm,
so we need to have that energized water in there that is going to even fortify us because when we look at the stress elements of life, when we look at the food elements of life, the environment elements of life, the 5G elements of life,
mm,
all of these things are bombarding our body. And we
mm,
really need to give our body support so that
mm.
it can it just keep on giving us what it needs to give us, which is a beautiful vessel to actually be able to do what we're here to do and contribute to life because each and every one of us was chosen for something and to be of service to each other.
And I love the word vessel that you
Mm-hmm.
used about us, which means receptive. A vessel is something that's receptive and open. And,
Mm-hmm.
and then the water can go in the vessel, correct? So that took my mind back to, again, back in 87 when I got a lot of potent writings from my higher self, from the universe, from light, from God, however you wish to put that. And one of them said, oh, no, it wasn't just that. It was first the writing said you will be assisting people with their light bodies. And another part of this was dreams I was having, and I'm very dream oriented.
Mm-hmm.
And so a dream kept coming to me that I was riding this tidal wave. I was at the crest of a wave, and it wasn't a bad tidal wave where there
Mm-hmm.
was destruction. I never even saw where it was going. All I knew was I was at the top of this wave. Isn't it interesting that I'm now part of light technology called Life Wave?
Yes. Oh, everything has its synchronicity. It's again, we're so busy going linear and living up to that expectation, societal expectation, that we're
Mm,
actually missing the point. I call
hmm
it the cosmos nudge, nudge, wink, wink. You know, or the cosmic two by four. Which would you want? And very often people get the cosmic two by four because they're not paying attention to the nudge, nudge, wink, wink.
Right. And what you've said is the universe at one point shook you up to wake you up.
Yes, yes. The old saying that they gave me 7 years ago, the universe is going to shake us up, to wake us up, for us to step up, change it up, grow up vibrationally to a higher
Uh-huh.
frequency. But as a human race, grow up. Start being nice to each other. Give it a try. You'll actually find it's far more productive.
Well, the tendency since that weird thing that started in 2020 was people became isolated. And thank
Mm,
goodness for Zoom, and thank
mhm,
goodness that we could stay in touch and see each other and hear each other. But it also has left people, I think, in that almost isolated feel. And they start working from home. And then it's
mhm.
like, well, I'll just go get my lunch now and I'll take a nap now. And they're just kind of like autonomous to just whatever's in front of them at the moment. So I have to say that LifeWave has really helped me in the coming out part.
Yeah.
The sharing. It's almost like I have this responsibility. I feel like I'll do people a disservice if I don't mention there happens to be a technology here now that's light-based that can not only reverse your age, but bring you back to homeostasis. So all of those ailments that you've been suffering with sometimes for decades just sort of vanish and rather quickly, typically.
Typically. And the thing is, we've got to understand there's things we do to our body along the line that kind of causes it to break down.
Mm-hmm.
And the body is actually meant to keep us going to over 100. We're
Mm-hmm.
meant to live to 110, 120. That's truly our life expectancy,
Mm-hmm.
and we do not see that because our bodies break down and deceive us because we're not nurturing our body or fortifying our body the way we should. When you look at those people that are living to 110 and you look at their lifestyle, it was very simple.
Mm-hmm.
The way they ate, the way they lived, the worry they took on, the worry they didn't, their gratitude. They lived in the attitude of gratitude, not
Mm-hmm.
lackitude, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Oh, that's a good expression.
and that simplicity of being grateful for who they are, what they are, and what they had in life, kind of I think what kept them youthful and also playing,
Mm-hmm.
learning to play. I think that's something that a lot of people have forgotten, the art of play. And
Yes.
the art of play is so very important. And some people literally could be the artist and play through the canvas, or getting out and kind of playing in something in life, being
Mm-hmm.
interactive. But you're right, not only did we have the old COVID thing for a few years, but then it's the political disruption and the wars and the this and the that, and it's having a great strain on people. And
Mm-hmm.
what happens is people cocoon more. But this is
Mm-hmm.
actually the time when you need to interact more. You need to get out amongst like energy people and become that chorus, become that symphony, and really be a part of the solution by
Mm.
raising up that frequency of kindness, caring, compassion, and love, because that's what's going to elevate us as a human race.
And not to go on and on about life wave, but it does seem that light beings are being attracted
Yes.
to the technologies.
Hmm.
Uh, the world, the masses are getting more used to the idea that it doesn't have to be the old way.
Yes,
It
yes.
can be a new way, a more innovative way, a more futuristic way.
Hmm.
And again, if we can even telepathize to people, how about being open and playful with the idea of light? I can
Yeah.
even see myself painting with light. I can't
Hmm.
wait for that part to come into being.
Yes. Yes. And the whole thing I think affect what we're looking at is we're in our invitation stage. The universe
Mm,
is inviting us right now.
mm,
I say that inspiration begets invitation. And when we're
mm,
inspired by something, it invites us to step up
mm,
and step
mhm,
out. And I think the universe right now, with technologies like AI, a lot of people look at it as the enemy, and other people look at it as a great asset. I enjoy it as an asset. It's become quite meaningful. And a few weeks ago, I interviewed AI and I had a phenomenal conversation with AI.
oh,
We've got to
fun.
remember that AI isn't oh, it was fun. And it went places that I didn't expect it to go, which was really great. But we've got to remember AI is an accumulation of human knowledge, human
Mm,
intelligence. It
mm,
just knows how to access that in a way and
mm.
put it together at the speed of light,
Right.
right? And I think that it's also here to take over a lot of mundane type jobs so that we do have more time to
Mm,
immerse ourselves into that
mm,
higher elevation that we've been
mm,
invited to rise up to.
mm. I love this. I love what you're saying. And the community is forming, and the people
Mm,
around the planet are more aware. It has come to that point where, what do they call that? The 0 point or something
mm.
like that, where people are actually more receptive and open. And my invitation is to come out and play on the Red Rocks. Let's do some watercolors together. And
Yes.
and what happens to people when they do that is in a 2 hour period where they were so kind of intimidated at the beginning, they walk away very proud of the piece
Mm.
that they now want to hang in their living room.
And that's the thing is that, there's art in all of us in whatever way it's meant to come out. Whether it's writing a book or blogging, podcasting, doing art itself, singing, dancing, the art form is a form of an expression of our heart, soul, and spirit. It's
Mm.
also a reflection of our times for many people. And I think is that when we allow ourselves to express it without the dictation, without, when
Mm-mm.
it could, I can't show this to anybody. It's no good. I used to live with a 91-year-old before I moved away. Wonderful woman, incredible. I mean, you still drive, still cook. She can outrun me. She's ferocious as hell. Probably could still toss somebody over her shoulder, and stubborn as a mule. Absolutely. And to this day, and she's turning 92 soon, she'll play the piano and apologize because it doesn't sound like her mother. Or she'll
Oh,
cook you a meal and apologize because it's not as good as her mother's. And it's like
oh.
at this age, it is so sad that you're still trying to emulate your mother instead of embracing the essence of who you are. Right. And she's still stuck there. And I feel there are so many people stuck there.
Mm,
Comparison and competing,
mm,
when you're doing comparing, competing with someone else, is deadly. It means
mm,
you're denying the essence and the beauty and the gift you are.
mm. Beautifully put. Thank you for that.
So, here you are, the artist, and a diverse artist at that. Here you are in Life Wave, with igniting the fluidity of our bodies. So basically, you they allow, because you allow it to come through you, the conduit for it. But it's also very much about flow in your life, whether it be through Life Wave allowing your body to flow, your art allowing it to flow, and your writings allowing it to flow. It's about that perpetual, wonderful rhythm of life, isn't it?
Mm. You have such a poetic way of speaking. I could just listen to you all day. Keep going, keep going.
Well, I think when we look at art, you look at art, and we've got a few pieces of her art on her show page there, and please go to her site because her art is there as well. You know, um, we want to dance. We want our
Mm.
spirits to dance. We want to
Yeah.
set ourselves free. We want something to speak to us, in words that we would not normally hear. And that does come through art because art has movement. It is a
Mm.
dance, it is a fluidity, it is a statement. My daughter has two babies and she works and she doesn't do her art anymore, but she used to be the black pen, right?
Mm.
And she would draw characters and with statements next to them. And I love her art because it speaks so much to where people are at. I'd love her to get
Mm.
back to it, but with kids and things, there's no time. Down the road, she will. But I think if you've got that gift or whatever gift you have, whether it's art, dance, writing, doesn't matter what it is, stop worrying about what other people will think.
Mm.
Do it for yourself. This is
Mm.
for you. What people get out of it has got nothing to do with you.
Yeah. Just like what Wayne Dyer used to say, remember?
Hmm.
Your
Hmm.
opinion of me is none of my business.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So when these shows go out, I have no control of how people listen, when they listen, what they listen to. We put it
Right.
out there as the invitation. It's up
And
to
there,
them.
and you spoke again about the dance of life. Perhaps that's why I started with the face. The face is
Hmm.
kind of a forte of mine, but so is the dance, the
Mm.
figure, as you see on my
Yeah.
outfit, which I just realized is the same as the one in the piece
Yes,
that's shown
yes,
here.
yes,
It's
yes.
just a different color. I mean, what color is your dance? Come on,
Mm.
bring it on out. Bring it on. Let's say it that
Yes,
way.
yes,
Bring
yeah,
it
bring it on.
on.
But going to color and how important color is.
Mm,
I very, very much believe in the color psyche of, do not wear black when you're depressed. This is a time to put a warm color on and start
mm.
warming yourself up. And it's also, I did a wonderful show on chakra eating, that if you are wanting certain colorful foods,
Oh,
that is your chakra needing to be fed,
oh yeah.
right? So, you know, I'm a very colorful person. You can see it by my side, all the banners and everything is colorful. In the summer, I'm even more colorful. But color is so important to my psyche. And I think a lot of people dismiss color and the importance that it has.
Mm. Well, we have this blank canvas. Let's
Mm.
put some color to it, shall we?
Yes. And I think putting that color to it, um, is something that allows us as a human beings to express ourselves in a way that we feel um, have a voice. It is our
Mm,
voice. It is our statement. It is our what we're
mm,
needing to say, and I think that's so very important. And I want to see more people become a little bit more colorful, or try the handed art and
mm.
find out what medium. For you, it's watercolors. I had somebody that I interviewed who did a wonderful oil painting of my dog. And the expression that she's caught is like, I look at her and it's like she's smiling down at me. What is your technique? Right? Because that becomes your choice for your canvas. And it's like, but just allow it to happen, right?
Exactly. That reminds me of something. And I think around 2017 or so, I was doing a painting and I didn't want anything at the bottom, but it started to drip. And I go, oh dear, like that was an accident, right? And so I go, well, okay, I guess I'll create more drips. Well, guess what? That's now become part of the technique that I teach when I'm on the red rocks of
Mm-hmm.
Sedona. And so it's
Mm-hmm.
like we're doing these red rocks, right? Very solid. What are we going to do? Make them be solid all the way down to the bottom of the page? No, we're going to end at this certain point where there's some negative space and we're going to allow things to drip.
Exactly. Have its expression,
Yeah.
which is so important, and that's the thing is, what is the art saying to you
Well, in
as
this
you do
case,
it?
in this case, it's like be a kid, let the thing
Yeah.
drip. In fact, I have them pound. We're seated, we're on our little camping chairs. We have, a foam piece of foam core with our art now being created. And I go, see, it's ready to drip. Okay. So I have them hold it like this and pound it on their knees. And they're like, yeah, this is fun. This is fun. And then at the end of our session together, we take out our toothbrush, not their toothbrush. I
Mhm.
provide these toothbrushes, and we use tempera or acrylic paint, which is thicker. And then I have them put on a glove, a latex glove, and now they're flicking from a toothbrush paint. And that becomes sort of like the Jackson Pollock thing. It's like splats all over the place. And they get a kick out of this, that
Yes.
suddenly this has become fun. Whereas at the very, very beginning, they're like, am I doing this right? And they look over at each other and stuff. It's like, no, you're doing fine. I'll guide you all the way through. And pretty soon, here comes the kid part. And it's
Mhm.
so fun.
I think, you know, when are you going to grow up? At your age. What? Why do I have to? I want to express life. I want to enjoy life. I want to be silly. And I don't think we allow ourselves to be silly enough. And
Hmm.
I think it's so important that we become silly. And
Hmm.
and I think that we're so stuck up in again this societal expectation of what we should be, that we're not allowing ourselves to be who we really are meant to be. And like, I used to sing opera to my children when they were fighting, and they'd do anything to shut me up, right? Or just start dancing and goofing around. And in a lot of ways, they still do. Now, with the two grandchildren, I can do that again. Nana's got
Hmm.
license to be silly. And I
Mm.
think we've this political correctness, so to speak, as they
Mm.
talk about, has gone too far. And I think it's robbed us of
Mhm.
of the essence of who we are. There's all this dictation of what you should be, and I'd want take that
Mhm.
should and what you think I should be, throw it out. It's got
Mm.
nothing to do with me. It's your opinion. It's not me. And I
Mhm.
think own yourself without apology.
Yes. So that leads me to another memory. So when I was like 13, my mother said, "Okay, you're going to go off to summer school and take typing." And I go, why would I do that?" And she goes, "Well, because you'll become a secretary, of course." And I was like a good girl. I went off to register, and the registrar looked over her glasses. Let's do that. She's like, "And your second class will be?" I said, "What? I have to take two classes?" And she goes, "Well, yes, what's it going to be?" And I thought quickly and I said, "Well, what do all the kids say is really fun and easy? Art. I'll take art." Within 2 weeks of taking this art class when I was that age, the teacher said to me, I'm going to follow you around year after year to be sure that you take art at least all the way through high school. And I go, Really?" I mean, it was shocking to me.
Mm.
And then I said, "Well, you don't have to follow me, or I'll go ahead." And that is what's carried me all the way through
Mm.
my art career.
But did mom approve?
My folks never approved.
Right.
I even went back to school at 30 and got my fine art degree, and it was still not really accepted.
Yeah.
But oh well, I did it anyway.
Yeah, I mean, it's always the starving artist. And the thing is, like, no, there's so many other ways that you can make money out of art, whatever it is, your bread
Mhm.
and butter, which will then
Mm,
allow you to do, the things you want to do. But
mm,
you cannot deny what the gift of the person is. And this is last year I put out a book, Our Forgotten Children, an anthology where we talk about this dictation of what children should be, this confirm, um, you've got to be this, you've got to sit in this box, you've got to be that. And what we're denying the gift of who they are and what they were here to do. And we end up with dysfunctional adults instead of beautiful essence of being who stepped into their light. And that would be a solution and an innovation for the world. And so you, thankfully, and thank to that teacher, allowed your art to speak louder. And not many people do. They'll come back to it at 50 or 60 when they finally feel themselves, give themselves permission because they've gone and lived the expectation life. You decided to follow your art and make it your life. So bravo to you.
Oh, thank you so much, Sarah. I really appreciate that.
It's a good inspiration to other people. Do not let other people dictate what you should do in your life, right?
Hmm.
If it's in you, it's here as your gift to express. So express
Hmm.
it. That's the important thing to do.
A word that I'm going back to is my own word about shocking. So, what was shocking to me, just going back to LifeWave for just a moment. So, and you also said, be patient. The body will do what it's going to
Mm,
do when it's going to do it. You don't want to rush it. And so, I was born without this sense of smell.
mm,
So, for my first 72 years, no smelling. A lot of art, a lot of music, a lot of that, but no smelly. And so, but I am very consistent about wearing my X39 patch. That's our stem cell patch. And one day I'm in the backyard weeding, and I'm putting weeds into this box. I'm okay, this weed, and then I go, wow, this weed smells different than this weed. Wait, what?
I
And
can
now I
smell.
can smell. That's
Mm,
where that sense of responsibility, from
mm,
my vantage point, is very present. Because
mm.
what if somebody has something that they don't even talk about? I didn't
Right.
talk about the fact that I couldn't smell, but when people have discovered this about me and they ask me, well, what was that like for you? And the only thing I can liken it unto is, say a person was blind their whole life and now they can see.
Yeah.
It's almost shocking.
Yeah. And also just the exploration of smells. And now, just must be so exciting,
It is.
and some that you wish that you were still, what they call nose
Yeah,
blind.
like
Yeah. Um, and people go, well, how can that happen? You're activating, rejuvenating cells. And in your case, maybe it was a cell that was never activated in the first place,
right.
right? And so now there's this activation of it. And we've got to realize there's trillions of cells in our body, right? And so if they're plumping them up and making them juicy, they're working for us better. So
Mm,
if all of a sudden, it's like, oh, you've been dormant all this time. Let's
yes.
pump you up, and here you
Yeah,
are, right?
that's just
So
about it.
yeah.
Everybody's dancing within. It's
Yes,
like, oh,
yes,
this
in
is fun.
harmony, in sync.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
I mean, at my age, a lot of people at my age they can hardly get out of bed without,
Hmm.
struggling to get to the bathroom or something. But I just pop out of bed. It's so fun. And I see people about my age and I feel for them because they're, a little decrepit here and, using their canes and kind of hunched over and all that. And I'm just bouncing around.
You're like my old landlady Audrey. You're 92. You'll still be out there kicking butt, right?
Oh, at least I see myself living quite a bit beyond that too.
Right. Good. Good.
Yeah,
And that again, it's like people, die when they were 80, they lived a good long life. And they think, well, I don't know. Let's look at 90 as the new 80 and 100 as the new 90, because we
there you
do that
go.
at 40 and 50. Why can't we do it at the other end as well? And that's all a question of how we take care of ourselves,
Hmm.
right? So which is important. Do what you love to do. That's so important, right?
Yeah,
Allow yourself to receive the knowledge
yeah,
and the wisdom that will
yeah,
guide you to doing what you want to do,
yes.
right? And take care of yourself. Look at the mediums, whether it's life wave or whatever it is you come across. You're the one to experiment with that, but do something that's going to support your
Yes.
body in its natural aging so that you can do what you love to do. But again, back
Yes.
to the gratitude attitude rather than the lackitude. It's be grateful for what you have and the things that are there, like LifeWave. Was that there before? I mean, and I have a great admiration for Nikola Tesla.
Mm,
He downloaded such
mm,
wisdom. He had the
mm.
intellect to know what to do with it. That's the
Hmm.
difference. But he downloaded it. And
Oh
eventually,
yeah.
because of the way he was treated, he went into scalar light, which is all light therapy. And if we're gloomy days and it's been raining for a long time and it's dark, what happens to our mood? Everything goes down. Come out a sunny day, we start opening up our petals, right? So light is very, very important to us. We need that light inside of us. So um, you don't know if it's going to work for you until you try, right? You don't know
That's
if there's
right.
an artist in you until you take up a paintbrush. How many people
Right.
take it late in life and go, God, I wish I'd done this all my life?
Exactly. And it's that way with the art thing, and it's that way with your own stem cells. It's never
Mm,
too late to try either. I love it when people come out on the Red Rocks with me and they're quite nervous. You can tell they're like looking around and it's really pretty here, but oh, now I have to focus on this. And again, by the time they were done with our little session, they're like, almost shocked at
yes.
their own work.
Yeah.
And it's like, and I offer to do video of them while they're doing their thing.
Mm,
It's not about their faces, it's about their hands and what they're
yeah.
doing. And so I'll speak while the video is going on. So at this point, we're doing this, and at this point, now we're doing this. So that video then becomes a learning tool for them later if they
Mm.
decide to try this again.
Yes, because if they're very much in the moment, right? I don't know how I did that.
Right.
Right. So here you've actually shown them actually
Yeah.
what they did. So when they match, oh, I did that by doing this, you're reverse
Yes.
engineering them.
Yeah, I guess I am, aren't I? I didn't think of that. Yeah.
Because we want people to just do, just be, allow, let it be.
Mm,
But then if we don't document the how, then it's
mm,
after, okay, well, I did this, but I don't know if I could do it again because I don't know what I did.
right.
So really unique that you actually video them doing it, because like I said, now that's in that reverse engineer. Oh, I see. I did this for that and this for that. That then becomes that memory muscle for
Right.
when they go back into doing something, channeling again.
You're right. And so what I do is I put music to it too.
Ah,
So there's
neat.
some in videography, there's something called audio ducking. And
Mm-hmm.
so when I speak, as long as I've programmed this, then the music goes down so you
Mm-hmm.
can hear me speak. But then when no speaking is going on and I just am videoing them while they're painting, then the music comes back up and I actually caption, this part we're inking, here we're,
Mm-hmm.
doing our base coat, and here we're splatting, and here we're dripping, and
Mm-hmm.
and so yeah, it becomes a learning tool, and I try to make the music. Sometimes I ask them, what kind of music do you like?
Mm-hmm.
And sort of match them on that level too, because music's pretty important in our lives, wouldn't you say?
Hellishly. 100%. Yeah. They're generally my guilty shows when I interview musicians, because rather like artists, you are true to who you are. You're soul speakers, and this is the medium. And with musicians, they are that as well. And it's like,
Mm,
a lot of people in other areas of their life, they're busy trying to find their place.
Mm,
When you're an artist like you, where we're enlightened by that teacher, you found your place very early in life, and didn't matter what anybody else was going to say, that was
mhm,
your path to take. And with
mm,
musicians, when the music's so strong in them, or an author, that is the
mhm.
path they're going to take because they're compelled to do so. And we need to listen a lot more to that compulsion inside of us that compels us to do something, no matter the chatter on the outside.
That's right. It's be discerning.
Hmm.
Don't listen to everything. Like when the phone used to ring, in the old days, you didn't have caller ID, right? So when
Mm.
the phone would ring, my mother would hurry to the phone and wait another half ring and then go, hello, you know. But these days, there's so much chatter, and you can decide, by the way, you can decide if you're going to answer your phone. You don't have to. But isn't it interesting the way things have evolved from the old
Hmm.
world to this world to whatever's coming? I can't wait. It's going to be very exciting.
Yes, and I think what it is use the word discerning. Do I want to pick up that call?
Mm,
Is it at the present moment? I am just, my phone can leave messages or they can text and I'll get back to them when I want to, not become a slave to it. Somebody texts me. I've
mhm,
got to do it now. No, no, you
mm,
can do it later. You're busy now, or you're busy in
mm,
thought, or you're busy with someone else. And it's
mhm.
like, use it as the instrument it is. Don't become the slave to it. So,
To it, yeah.
and that's moderation, folks, as with anything in life. Anything in excess pushes you out of balance. And balance is where we want you to be. And balance doesn't mean perfectly balanced. I'm a Libra. It's all about the scale going up and down without the extremes. We
Mm.
don't want great heights and great lows. We want a nice rhythm of flow in balance.
I
And
love
then,
it.
and now and again, you have that little peak as you do in a song, and then it
Hmm.
trails off, right? That's what it's
Hmm.
about. Know
And
your
so you're
rhythm.
so you're a Libra,
Yes.
and I understand that. And I'm a Gemini. Isn't it funny that I'm wearing something
Yeah.
that's so much I've got myself repeated here. I don't know. It's just it's one of those artsy things I couldn't have thought about ahead of time.
Right,
It's like,
exactly.
oh, look at
But again,
that.
it's the inner soul is speaking, right? And
Yeah.
that's the thing. If we
Hmm.
listen, and I think that we don't listen enough in. And I think
Yeah.
this is half the problem with people out there is that they're so busy living that expectation of life, dictation of life, that they're not listening into the true core
Mm.
of the wisdom that will guide them, that will never lead them astray. And it could
Never.
be God, universe, spirit, essence, energy, whatever you wish to call it. Just tap into it and allow it to guide you because it will never lead you wrong.
Right. And many people, mostly males, if I'll say this, don't believe in the intuitive part of ourselves. Oh no,
Mm,
that's sissy or something. But then they'll use the word as like a hunch. So I
yes,
came to this
gut.
T and yeah, a gut feeling, come
Yeah,
to a T in the road. Let's see, shall I go left or right? And they're not sure.
yeah,
So the first hit is to go right, but they go left and then they regret it and they go, gosh, I should have listened to my gut.
yes,
And all that is one's own intuition. So
yes.
we all have it, just like we
Mm-hmm,
all have the artist within us, the
mm-hmm,
musician, the dancer, the singer, the orator. I mean,
mm.
oh my God, there's so many ways to be creative. Just allow it. I love what you say, Sarah.
Even if you are a person that is very analytical, and this is something that's very interesting, especially with men. There's an awful lot of men I've interviewed that come from engineering background, an analytical engineering background, and now they've stepped into spirit. But
Mm.
what it's helped them do is bring the building blocks into the spirit to make sense for people who are
Oh,
awakening but need some
oh,
structure to it,
yes,
right?
that's
So,
good. Yeah.
and they've chosen to awaken and not
Mm.
deny, which is wonderful. So, let's talk more about the book. It's not yet coming out, it's coming out this month, right? So, what is the book particularly about?
Well, it's not really about because there's no like storyline or something. It will be a chronological look at my art from early on to about present, although there's going to be another book because my art is going on to another level because of AI. But
Mm,
Sunshower's Art Speaks. So I mentioned that I can just sit in front of a piece of my art, ask it, tell me about yourself, and here comes prose. It just flows. So it'll be a chronological book from how maybe some black and white, and
hmm.
then moving into the color, and then following this book will be another book too about my collaborative art because the piece that you're seeing right here
Mhm.
is collaborative. The original did not have the dancer in it. So then I've played with some years, I've played with the idea of putting other elements into
Mm.
my own existing art. And in fact, my site shows examples of not just me playing with my art and putting two images together to create a third, but the invitation that other people, whether they're artists, photographers, or they don't think they're either, but if they have an image, say they're excited about, and then I have not figured out how this is going to happen. This is a marketing tool that I'm not hep on, but eventually I can see this is going to be my legacy to the planet. So people will invite each other to come and play with their form of art or their photography and have some kind of cool placement, like what you see here, the dancer, she's facing this way. So she's like twittering off to this direction, and those lines that you see there, that also leads the eye. So it's like, oh, we have the flowers, we have the door, and we have this ballerina. What's she doing? So
There's a
when we
particular picture I'm looking at on your site, which I love, which I want to ask a question of. It's a woman in a suit, black and white, black hat, white trim, and then
uh-huh.
behind her, you have the opposite of her, where you just see her kind of over the shoulder in the shadow. Is this one that you added later?
Are you speaking now? Let's see, is it a
She's
collaborative
Yes,
piece?
it's a collaborative.
And
Um,
is it
it's the
uh,
Wayne Fisher Photography Inc. and it's a
yeah,
woman in a beautiful, elegant suit. And then
yes,
there's
yes.
another woman behind her. Is that one that you kind of the shadow of herself or somebody following her?
Oh, I see what you're saying. No, the
Mm.
original, I'm looking at the original. It's on my wall right now. That's Gemini Woman. And
Right. Ah,
she's in a white suit with navy trim and a navy hat. And yes, that is sort of like her shadow, but in my estimation, since I'm Gemini, I wanted two of her.
right.
And I
Yes.
always paint on white. So I painted the white suit and everything. I go, oh, it needs some contrast. How shall I do that? And I go, oh, I'll just invert the colors.
Mm,
So I
I
did
love
her
that.
again, but the emphasis is on the navy color. And if you're looking at the collaborative piece also on my site in the collaborative gallery, I also, when you mentioned Wayne Fisher, he's a beautiful architect out of Canada, and he allowed me carte blanche to put my work with his work. And so I've got many samples, especially on my Instagram, of collaborations, many of them with his work. So what you're seeing on my site there too is these kind of architectural lines, and those are it's panels, photography
Mm.
of some architecture, and it's all black and white. And so I thought, well, let's put this feminine with that kind of masculine, very vertical, very almost aggressive because it's, very stark, and then put this feminine with it. So that's what I
Mm.
love to do is play with those kind of elements.
And you've got another lovely one here, which you showed me in our pre-interview. Um, the kind of the oracle with the wings,
Hmm.
with the Gemini sign behind, which is beautiful as well.
Oh, okay. I'm not sure which one we're
The
talking about.
mask, the
Oh, the
mask with the eyes. Yes,
masquerade.
yes.
Masquerade. Is that the one you mean? Masquerade.
It's the pink face with the wings and
Oh,
the universe behind her.
oh, okay. So if I'm remembering right, Masquerade, yes, that one was the first piece that I had a writing come to me from. So that was around, oh gosh, early 90s, And so do you want me to explain that piece or?
Yes, yes, do. Yes, do. Because
Well, I
these type
truth,
of things are in the book, right?
yes,
Mm.
that's definitely going to be in the book, Masquerade. Um, and so I really didn't plan much on this one. I just knew, okay, I know I can draw faces. Let's do something different. So I started doing masks. So I did the mask, and then I was like, well, what should I put around the mask? And it came to me about the wings. And then above that came sort of a Geminian portal. And then I said, whoa, look, what should we have going through the portal? And so it's these six planets
Mm.
all strung together in a straight line. And then the whole thing's reflected below. And then there's the aurora borealis, and that sounds like there's way too much going on. As I speak about it, it sounds like that's a lot going on. But I keep that open, that negative space as a
Mm,
very important factor into
mhm,
whatever I'm doing. We have to let the eye, quote, breathe.
mhm. Exactly.
I'm not one to fill a whole page. That would be more like oil painting. Let's
Mm.
fill the whole canvas, but not for me.
Yeah, you got to have something where it becomes the canvas for the story, allowing it to step out. Which, but
Yes.
I love the way you allow your art to come. Oh, I'm going to do this. And now, where does this take me? Where does that take me? And that's a very much of a metaphor for life.
Mm,
Again, allow the big word of the day, allowing life to take you where it's
mm,
meant to take you. And sometimes it may take you into the shadows of life. And
mm,
that is for a reason. Everything is
mhm.
for a reason. The whole thing is like being emotion. Tap into your emotions, but don't become emotional over your emotions.
That's a trick.
It is a trick because we can get caught up in an emotion and the
Mhm.
emotion takes over and kind of loses the reason why you're in that emotion. It's
Mm,
to spend the emotion, acknowledge the emotion so that you know how to move forward, not get
mm,
stuck in it. But you use those kind of emotions to allow yourself for the story to unveil, which
mm,
is lovely. Well, I wish more people would allow that in their own lives, allow your
mm,
story to unveil and become and don't dictate.
mhm,
Or, nobody's going to buy this if I don't do this or I don't do that. No, it's like when people have a website, if it doesn't match who they are, it that throws people off. And it's
mm,
like when people meet you, they want to buy the essence of who you are. If they don't buy your authenticity, your joy in what you're doing, why should they buy from you?
mhm,
So that's what we need to do with anything we do with work is put the essence of you in there. If it's not that person's cup of tea, that's okay,
mhm,
right? They're looking for something different. But
mhm.
it's if it's somebody else that is exactly what they needed at that time.
Yeah, exactly. Your words are taking me to the holographic part of myself. So
That sounds interesting.
in my mind, we have a holographic universe. There's a book
Mm,
by that name. Talbot is the
mhm,
guy that wrote that one, and it goes along with the idea of, okay, so let us say God being omniscient, omnipotent, and knows everything, sees everything, and like that. Well, if we had the capacity on this planet to be that, well, we really wouldn't be here. We
right.
we are basically focuses of the
Hmm.
grand hologram.
Hmm.
And so I feel very blessed that the grand hologram has permitted me or gifted me with several areas of focus that I don't mean to brag about this, but I feel like I'm a master in certain
Hmm.
parts of my life, and
Hmm.
art and music are one of those, two of
Yeah.
those areas. I'm just very, very pleased that, but I also, by the way, do not believe in multitasking.
Ah, no, I think it's continuum rather than multi for you. Right? Is it
Yeah,
right? So like you get into a picture, it's this, then it's a reveal and reveal the
yeah,
continuation of it rather than the multitasking.
yeah.
Um, so yes, I'm a multitasker, uh, but they all are in sync with each other.
Mhm.
So it's like I'm doing the same thing multiple times.
Mhm.
But
Okay.
as long as I'm doing the same thing, then my thread of thought is in the right place. It's like when I'm uploading shows, all
Yeah,
the platforms I upload it to, I can do them boop, 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 all at the same time because it's all the same thing. If I try and
yeah.
go do something else totally different, then I'm thrown off thread.
Yes, yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah. Yes, keep not just the focus, keep the thread going of your thought.
Keep,
Otherwise you
keep
may lose it. So
Exactly.
mhm.
Yeah, the brain can only really focus on one thing at a time. Yet we are multidimensional beings. So it's
Yes.
this knowing that we are, finite. We have a finite brain here, but we have an infinite mind.
Yes.
So we just have to, train ourselves, and the listening part is part of that. Let's see what is best for me to do now. I really hope that people do, those that listen and watch your podcasts, get the picture that they
Mm,
are indeed in charge of their own lives.
hmm.
We by listening. because
Yes.
it's all there for us. As you say many times, it just reveals itself. It's like
Mm.
take a step, and if it feels good, then the universe will bring you other steps to
Yes.
follow. So you start that other step, and it's like, no, that's not quite right. You back up a bit, and another step will be shown. You have lots of choices, and so it's just you can't take all of the steps, and you surely can't take them all at once. But
Exactly.
but if you follow your divine guidance, it
Hmm.
will be made clear to you, and you'll be ever so happy, and your heart will be singing, and your spirit will be dancing.
Yes. I always say, feel the wisdom to understand the knowledge,
Nice.
right? For me, if I can't feel the knowledge, then it doesn't make sense to me. If I go into my head and it's just knowledge in the head,
Mm-hmm.
um, then it's it becomes the what if. But when
Oh
you
dear.
feel the wisdom that leads to the knowledge, it's the right knowledge at the right time,
Mm-hmm.
right? Then there's no
Yeah.
need for second guessing. So I
No
always say to
need at
people, get
all.
out of your head, feel it. Let your
Yeah.
heart, soul, and spirit be a part of the equation. It will always give clarity of mind.
Whether you call it a hunch or an
Hmm.
intuitive hit,
Yeah.
it basically comes from the same place and it's
Mm.
always right.
Always don't argue with it. It's futile. It's right, and it can make you right if you
Yeah.
listen to it. Yeah,
Mm.
absolutely. So the book comes out this month in March,
Yes.
and
Probably
it's
later March.
okay. And if people want to sign up for it early, where do they go?
They would just go to my art site, Collaborative Artworks, and there on the homepage will be a form. And anybody who listens to this, who really, really wants the book, unless I run out of the ability to offer it, they'll have the book as a free download.
Ah, wonderful, wonderful.
Mm,
I mean, you've got calendars, you've got all sorts of stuff here that is wonderful for people to see and be a part of. And so I invite people to kind of really go in and have a look because there's a lot there. So collaborative artworks.com, folks. You're on Facebook, sunshower.rose, LinkedIn, Sunshower Rose, Instagram, Collaborative Artworks. And people can find all your art there. I invite them to go to your webpage where they can see all of your art, and it's absolutely wonderful. And of course, if they want to know more about LifeWave, then go to lifewave.com/sunshower. Sunshower. Definitely reach out to you if you're going through anything, pain or blockages, you've tried everything, definitely reach out to her and have a conversation on that. And look at her art. It's absolutely beautiful. It's all got movement into it. The color, everything has all got movement. Even you're very poised, like the woman, very poised.
mm,
It's the way she's slanted. It's all
mm,
about movement and curve and rhythm again, which you can see is very, very evident in your work, which is
mm,
lovely. But most of all, you're a great inspiration to people of recognizing what your gift is and
mm.
allowing yourself to develop that gift honestly and truly into where you are today, but also allowing other paths and other doors to open for you along the way without, and while always being true to who you are.
I'll give you another clairaudient secret. As you were spelling out, collaborative artworks, actually, I heard in my head as I was waking up one morning, I think 2016 or so, the words collaborative artworks over and over and over. And then once I started to understand what it was all about,
Hmm.
the word works is the
Hmm.
verb. Collaborative art
Works.
works. So it's kind
Yes.
of a little pun,
Yeah.
usually it's artworks, but it's
Hmm.
collaborative art works.
Yes, it does. And actually, the word collaborative in anything at the end of it works,
That's
right? It's
right.
it's in itself. It
Yeah,
means working together. So yeah,
absolutely.
absolutely. So again, you're allowed. You
Okay.
allowed a name and you went with the flow. And
Yes.
that's so very, very important. So thank you so much for sharing. And I look forward to seeing your book come out. And anytime you want to come back, please do. It's been an absolute delight having you here.
Oh.
And you are that great example. So many people are on their self-discovery because they live that life of expectation. And they're at 40, 50, 60, they've had that cosmic 2x4. And it's like, well, what do I want to do? Who am I? They've been on that journey of self, and they've discovered things about themselves that I just wish I'd done this always. And you are an example of, especially to youth, that you'll find a way, for it to support you. But you were given this gift, honor it. It's for you to use and bring forth as your collaboration with the world, with your contribution, right?
Thank you so much, Sarah. I really enjoy you so much, and all that you do. You're affecting a lot of people. I know it's your gift, and you're doing it well. So thank you for having me
Thank you.
aboard.
My pleasure. Thank you so very much. So, folks, remember, when you're out there, whatever you're doing in life, it's about allowing. The word today was allowing the flow, allowing the vision, allowing the space for it to come forth. It doesn't all get downloaded all at once. You get a bit here and a bit there. How do you put it together? Allow the vision to come to you. No matter what you're doing, feel the wisdom so you actually understand what it is you're meant to do. So until next time, folks, bye for now. We hope that you enjoyed the show. There are so many more for you here on selfdiscoverywisdom.com. Just go to the podcast tag at the top there and you will see all the many genres and all 3,000 shows ready for your listening. We are here to serve you, to help you on your journey of life, and we know that through inspiration it begets invitation. We are supported by you, the listeners, and those that we interview. Anything that you can spare us in donation would be greatly accepted, and we do hope that you enjoy the next show.